What a stupidly enormous box. Hello and welcome back to another Moderoid review. Today we're taking a look at Shin Getter Dragon. And starting off as always with the articulation, I'm going to have to be a little careful because he is really pointy. Like, these will draw blood if you're not careful. Head is on a ball joint that goes down into the neck. Then there's another ball joint in the neck that goes down into the torso for a little bit of front to back and a little tiny bit of side to side, but really not much. Shoulders are on a up and down hinge in the torso, as well as the world's tightest ball joint in there. Seriously, you're not getting much more than a rotation, and I'm kind of concerned that the rotation isn't actually moving the ball and is just stretching the joint. It is way tighter than it has any reason to be. This one especially is terrifying. The pauldrons on the shoulder are on their own ball joint. A little bit of wiggle and a bit of rotation. These tails are hinged, thankfully, so they get out of the way. The arms outward rotation is separate from the ball joint on this, meaning you have to use this to actually get the arms out. That said, you can pretty much get out 90 degrees, so it's not really that big of a deal. There is a rotation at the bicep, one elbow joint, a rotation, second elbow joint for a full bend. Looks slightly awkward from the side, but just don't worry about it. These are really sharp too, so be careful with that. And the hands, as always, on a ball joint. The tails hanging off the back are ball jointed, so they can get out of the way perfectly fine. The waist is a reverse barbell where the two sockets are in this gray section, so not bad movement. Honestly, there's just not a lot of clearance there to get much more than that anyway, so I can't really complain. This piece is actually free-floating. It's attached on down here, and it can actually shift up slightly to give you more leg movement, which is... it works, I guess. It's weird, but it works. That said, you're still only just about getting 90 degrees-ish out of the hip, so it's not like it's massively improving it or anything. Hips themselves are just universal joints. Thigh swivel. Single jointed knee, which is kind of egregious on this because of the joint detailing there. Looks okay to about here, but if you go to full bend, it looks a little bit funky. That said, it actually looks slightly better than Shin Getter's, so can't really complain there. And the ankle is weird. It's rotation up here, front to back, and then a swivel side to side here. It all actually moves around the enormous ball section in here, which is nice, but it's a little bit of a funky joint to work with. Gives you perfectly fine articulation, though. These are also sharp. So, Shin Dragon has decent articulation. I do kind of feel like the hips could be a slightly better, especially since they tried with the moving crotch piece, but still perfectly fine to get it in pretty much any pose you want. And getting into accessories, let's start off, as always, with the sticker sheet and, by extension, color correction. Not all the color corrections on here, which is a little odd. Though I will say, head is pre-painted. Blue on the chin, green on the head gem, eyes, and the black is all pre-painted there, and it looks great. What isn't pre-painted is the black on the legs, and here's the thing. The actual art on the box shows the black, you know, in all of these lines, but the painted model only does this. I just went with the painted model version because, yeah, I think doing the black all the way around wouldn't actually look as good, but it's up to you. Neither one's inaccurate. I mean, this is the Sentinel design, so it's not quite accurate to the Daikisen Shin Dragon anyway, so it's not a huge deal. Otherwise, for Dragon itself, there is a tiny bit of gunmetal you need to paint on this red piece here on the back, but otherwise, fully color separated, which is nice. The rest of the paint, including where the stickers go, is on the accessories, so let's get into those and we'll just talk about the rest of it as we go. Hands. Closed fists, open dynamic hands. These are really good looking hands, by the way. Weirdly, they like separated the fingers. These two are attached to the hand, and these two are on like a separate piece, and the back cap it's its own. It's a weird way to do it, but it looks good, so whatever. And you get two slightly weirdly molded holding hands. I mean, you got the circle carved right through there, which is a little bit funky, but I mean, it works. Don't really know what they were thinking with the thumb up like that. I mean, it's accurate, it just looks weird. And of course, in those holding hands, you hold the tomahawk. You may notice there's no handle. That's because there's two different options. You get the little single-handed tomahawk, gold tip, nice touch, because of course it comes out of the shoulder there. Not quite the same shape, but hey, it's a Shin Getter, it can do whatever it wants. But you also get the stupidly massive two-handed handle. This is significantly taller than Shin Dragon itself. This thing is enormous. I mean, I'm going to have it on my shelf in the Shine Spark pose anyway, so I'm not going to be using this, but it's very tempting with how massive that handle is. Also, just to show you, the hands actually hold these really nice and firmly. They don't go anywhere. It's actually really well done. Good job, good smile. But of course, Shin Dragon can use the other forms attacks, starting with Shin Poseidon's Typhoon. And yeah, this is where the stickers go. Faces on both sides, which is a little bit freaky. I just painted it, and it looks good enough, but using the stickers wouldn't be a problem, honestly. This one was bent, by the way. It's not my fault. You might notice these are your forearms. And the convenient extra joint here works for you to be able to just remove them. Can't really have the arm down at its side for this. One second. It is pretty silly to basically have like vacuum cleaners sticking out of his hands. But one thing I do want to point out here. For some reason, they cast the center section of the shoulder in gunmetal, but they paint it blue on the painted model. I don't know why they did that. There was literally zero reason to put it on the Grey Runner. It should have been on the blue one. If you wanted it to be blue, just let it be blue. It's not like there's any other areas that's exposed of it. Like, it's completely encased. You can barely see it outside of just under the armpit. So I don't know why they did that. Ow. I'm not joking when I say this guy's pointy. Ow! These are stupidly sharp. I understand why they're sharp. Doesn't mean I have to like it. Anyway, you also get Shin Liger's attack. Something I do want to point out is they didn't give us a chain for this, but that's really not that big a deal, I guess. Just feels like a missed opportunity. Put in there. Plug the drill in this side. This is on a ball joint, so you can get a little bit of a wiggle there, which is nice. Bring it around to the back. Pluck these off. Thankfully, these pegs aren't overly tight or anything. And then get this center section out of the back. Wiggle, wiggle. There we go. And just take the comically enormous jetpack and plug it right back here. Oop. Stay. Bring these up a little bit more. They're a little on the heavy side, and then it will not stand. And also, this is where the rest of the paint goes. Gunmetal on the inside of this, and on the inside of this. Thankfully the thrusters are gunmetal, so you just have to paint the inside rim. This is Shin Liger's attack, is just... a little bit on the ridiculous side. It's real heavy. You need a stand if you're going to pull this one off. And as for a quick size comparison, Shin Dragon's tall. Pretty big. Tall, wide, chunky, and man, those thrusters are like the size of the legs. Big. So to wrap this review up, Shin Dragon is incredible. It has a few of the usual Moderoid quirks, but it looks so good. It can pull off pretty much any pose you want it to. It comes with all the accessories it needs to, and it barely requires any work outside of cutting it out. I'm not the biggest fan of Sentinel's aesthetic choices, but I think they did a good job with Shin Dragon. The paneling isn't too bad, and they didn't mess with the engineering of any of the joints in a weird way like they did with Shin. The knees are a little bit funky, but that's just how Moderoid does knees, so I can't really blame them for that. If you're a Getter fan, you probably have this already, but if you don't, pick one up. This is an excellent kit, and you won't regret getting it. Just, be careful with all the pointy bits, because this guy is sharp. Also, I couldn't find anywhere else to mention this in the review, but the metallic blue they used for the chest, that is really, really nice looking metal flake. And that's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below. Subscribe and hit the bell to be alerted for future reviews. Come chill in the Discord. Follow me on Twitter, if that's even still around. And consider supporting me on Patreon so I can keep bringing you videos like this. And, as always, until next time, happy building.